The Invisible Revolution: How Black Women Are Rebuilding America. While America isn't looking, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I'm truly honored to stand before you to share transformative insights from my recent conversation with Natalie Carter, a revolutionary economic researcher whose work isn't just changing how we understand America's economic landscape, but is fundamentally reshaping it. Natalie isn't merely documenting economic trends, she's illuminating the invisible forces reshaping our nation's future. Her relentless pursuit of hidden economic narratives and her fierce commitment to amplifying the voices of Black women entrepreneurs has established her as one of the most vital voices in economic research today. A voice that challenges us to see beyond headlines to the profound transformation happening beneath the surface of American entrepreneurship. What I'm about to share with you comes directly from our extensive conversation on the Soft Girl Era podcast, where Natalie revealed a counter narrative so powerful, so unexpected, that it challenges everything we think we know about economic vulnerability, resilience, and who truly drives innovation in America. Let me start with a headline that likely crossed your newsfeed recently, a headline that reinforces familiar narratives about economic vulnerability. In April 2025, Black women lost 106,000 jobs, pushing their unemployment rate from 5.1% to 6.1% in a single month. A troubling statistic, certainly. The kind that confirms what many think they already know about economic hierarchy in America. But here's what that headline didn't tell you: what most economic reporting consistently misses. At the exact same moment Black women were experiencing this devastating job loss, they were simultaneously leading the most significant entrepreneurship boom in recent American history. Yes, you heard that correctly. The very demographic experiencing the most severe job losses is simultaneously driving an unprecedented wave of new business creation. This isn't just a footnote to the unemployment story, it's a fundamental reshaping of who owns businesses in America, who creates jobs, who drives innovation. It's nothing less than an economic revolution happening right before our eyes, one that most of us aren't seeing. This juxtaposition shatters everything we think we know about economic vulnerability. It forces us to reconsider our most basic assumptions about who creates opportunity in America, who responds to adversity with innovation, and who is truly driving economic transformation. The conventional wisdom, repeated endlessly in economic forecasts and business schools, suggests that economic vulnerability leads to risk aversion, that when jobs disappear, people hunker down, reduce spending, and wait for better times. That entrepreneurship is a luxury for those with financial cushions and safety nets. But the data Natalie shared tells a completely different story, a story that upends economic orthodoxy. Let's look deeper at what's happening beneath the headlines. According to Gusto's 2025 New Business Formation Report, women's share of new business formation has increased by a staggering 69% since 2019. Women were starting only 29% of new businesses in 2019. By 2024, that number had jumped to nearly half, 49% of all new businesses. And here's where it gets even more revolutionary: Black owned businesses are now more likely to be started by women than men. This represents a seismic shift in the entrepreneurial landscape, a fundamental redistribution of economic power that's happening while most of America isn't looking. This entrepreneurship boom began 5 years ago and has shown no signs of slowing. New business applications are more than 40% greater than at any point since before the Great Recession. And Black women are at the forefront of this transformation, not following trends, but creating them. Now, let's be crystal clear about something. This isn't happening because entrepreneurship suddenly became easier for Black women. The barriers to business ownership, limited access to capital, systemic discrimination, lack of networks and mentorship haven't magically disappeared. If anything, they've intensified. What's changed is how Black women are responding to these barriers. Rather than waiting for traditional employment structures to make space for them, they're creating their own spaces rather than fighting for a seat at someone else's table. They're building their own tables. Rather than accepting the limitations of existing systems, they're creating new systems altogether. This brings me to the first key insight from my conversation with Natalie: the dual reality. Black women are simultaneously experiencing job vulnerability in traditional employment while driving an entrepreneurial revolution. This demonstrates a level of resilience and adaptability that isn't just impressive, it's transformative. Let me illustrate this with specific data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. In April 2025, Black women lost 106,000 jobs, despite the overall economy adding 175,000 jobs. This pushed their unemployment rate to 6.1% from 5.1% in March, a significant jump in just 1 month. Historically, federal jobs have provided stable employment opportunities for Black women, but recent reductions in these positions have contributed to these job losses. The data has highlighted systemic barriers in the labor market that disproportionately affect Black women. This disparity has sparked important conversations about the rollback of diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives and their effect on Black women's employment opportunities. But it's only half the story, and focusing only on this half perpetuates a narrative of victimhood rather than recognizing the revolutionary response taking place. The second key insight from my conversation with Natalie is about transformative growth. Women's share of new business formation has increased by 69% since 2019, with Black women playing a central role in this transformation. This isn't just participation in entrepreneurship, it's a fundamental reshaping of who owns businesses in America. As Natalie powerfully stated during our interview, Black women aren't just participating in America's entrepreneurial renaissance, they're leading it. They're not just creating businesses, they're creating a new economic paradigm. The third key insight relates to industry concentration. Black women entrepreneurs are particularly concentrated in community services, 68%, and personal assistance sectors, 58%, including healthcare, social assistance, and retail. Understanding these industry patterns is crucial for developing targeted support systems and recognizing where opportunities exist. This concentration isn't random or accidental. These are industries where Black women have historically worked as employees, developing expertise and identifying gaps in service. They're leveraging their knowledge to create businesses that serve their communities in ways that existing businesses often don't. Businesses that address needs others have overlooked or undervalued. As Maya Angelou once said, you can't use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have. Black women entrepreneurs are embodying this principle, turning their creativity and expertise into thriving businesses that serve their communities while creating economic independence for themselves and jobs for others. Now, let me share another remarkable statistic from Natalie's research. Between 2019 and 2023, Black women owned businesses saw average revenues increase by 32.7%. This growth occurred during a period of significant economic turbulence, including the pandemic and its aftermath, demonstrating a level of resilience that defies conventional economic wisdom. This revenue growth outpaced many other demographic groups, highlighting the effectiveness and potential of Black women's entrepreneurial approaches. The success of these businesses has created economic opportunities, not just for the owners, but for their communities, employees, and the broader economy. What makes this even more impressive is that Black women entrepreneurs have historically faced significant barriers to accessing capital and achieving revenue growth. Yet they're succeeding despite these challenges, not because those challenges have disappeared. As Natalie explained during our interview, when we look at the data on Black women entrepreneurs, we're not just seeing individual success stories, we're seeing a collective response to systemic exclusion, a response that says, if the existing economic structures won't make space for us, we'll create new structures. This brings me to an important affirmation that resonated throughout my conversation with Natalie. My creativity is my currency, my resilience is my capital, and my community is my marketplace. This mindset is at the heart of the entrepreneurial revolution. Black women are leading a revolution that's changing not just who owns businesses, but how business itself is conceptualized and practiced. Now, I want to be absolutely clear about something. Celebrating Black women's entrepreneurial success doesn't mean we should accept or normalize the employment disparities they face. It doesn't mean we should stop pushing for more equitable employment practices or stop holding institutions accountable for discrimination. What it does mean is that we need to expand our understanding of economic empowerment to include both traditional employment and entrepreneurship. We need policies and support systems that address both realities, that recognize both the injustice of employment discrimination and the revolutionary power of entrepreneurial response. As Natalie pointed out, supporting Black women's economic advancement isn't an either or proposition, it's both and. We need both more equitable employment practices and more support for Black women entrepreneurs. This dual approach is essential because not everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. Not everyone should have to create their own job to have economic security. And even those who do choose entrepreneurship shouldn't have to face unnecessary barriers because of their race or gender. So, what does this mean for all of us? How do we support this economic transformation? How do we become part of this revolution instead of remaining blind to it? First, we need to recognize and celebrate the entrepreneurial leadership of Black women. Their success isn't just good for them, it's good for the entire economy. When we support Black women owned businesses, we're supporting job creation, community development, and economic innovation that benefits everyone. Second, we need to address the specific barriers that Black women entrepreneurs face. This includes increasing access to capital, creating more inclusive networks and mentorship opportunities, and developing policies that support small business growth in the sectors where Black women entrepreneurs are concentrated. Third, we need to continue pushing for more equitable employment practices. The fact that Black women are succeeding as entrepreneurs doesn't excuse discrimination in hiring, promotion, or pay. We need both entrepreneurial opportunity and employment equity. I stand before you today not just to share information, but to issue a challenge to see what has been invisible, to support what has been overlooked, and to join a revolution that's already underway. The question isn't whether Black women will continue to reshape America's economic landscape. They already are, with or without recognition, with or without support. The question is whether the rest of us will have the wisdom to see this revolution, the courage to support it, and the vision to understand its transformative potential. This isn't just about economic justice for one demographic group. This is about creating a more dynamic, innovative, and resilient economy for everyone. When we remove barriers for those who have been most systematically excluded, we unleash creative potential that benefits all of us. I challenge you today. Don't just leave here with new information. Leave with a commitment to action. Invest in Black women owned businesses. Mentor Black women entrepreneurs. Advocate for policies that support both equitable employment and entrepreneurial growth. See the revolution that is happening right in front of you and become part of it. Because the future of America's economy isn't being written in corporate boardrooms or economic policy papers. It's being written by Black women who, in the face of systemic exclusion, are creating new economic realities, not just for themselves, but for all of us. The revolution is already here. The only question is, will you see it? Will you support it? Will you be part of it? Thank you